Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is June 14th, 2023. It's on Wednesday and sunny outside. How are you spending Wednesday? How do you like Wednesday? Wednesday is the middle of the week, and some people hate Wednesday the worst because it is the middle of the day of the week. How are you spending Wednesday? Do you have a work or school today? Or have you got a day off today? Or you don't have anything today? Always. Are you reflective when you make a decision? Are you reflective when you make a decision? Are you usually reflective about everything? There are times it's better to make a quick decision without being reflective. There are times when we should be bold and go for it before being reflective. Reflective. We've been faced with unbearable situations in the life. How do you cope with unbearable situations whenever you face them? Whenever you face unbearable situations, how do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? I cannot bear snoring sound. Snoring sound is the last thing that I can bear. Snoring sound is the last thing to be able to bear. Snoring sound is the last thing that I can bear. Snoring sound is the last thing that I can bear. Snoring sound is the last thing that I can bear. Snoring sound is the last thing that I can bear. I cannot bear the burden of snoring sound. I used to be able to bear the burden of waiting for a long time, such as 2 hours before enjoying the attraction, the amusement park, but I cannot endure that anymore. Can you bear the burden of waiting for like 2 hours in front of shop? Can you bear the burden of standing in front of the shop as a security guard for 8 hours? Of course, with some rest. I think not many people can bear the things that I can bear. I think not many people can bear that I can bear. I think not many people can bear. Not many people can bear the things that I can bear. Can you bear the burden of studying for whole day every day? I used to be able to bear waiting for like 2 or 3 hours in front of the attraction in the amusement park, but I cannot do that anymore. I can do it any. I can no longer do it. I used to be able to bear waiting for like 2 or 3 hours in front of the attraction in the amusement park, but I can no longer do that. Bear the burden. Bear the burden. Bear the burden. Bear the burden. The Tokyo Sky Tree Tower bear the burden of the earthquake. The Tokyo Sky Tree Tower bore the burden of earthquake. The Tokyo Sky Tree Tower under construction at that time bore the burden of earthquake, which happened in 2011. Which means Tokyo Sky Tree Tower will withstand such huge earthquake even during the construction. No bigger earthquake than the one which happened in 2011 will occur in the near future. I presume so. Small earthquakes will frequently happen, which means Tokyo Sky Tree Tower will withstand the burden of almost everything. The length of commitment to the club activity shows the strength of the will. I have been showing the strength of my will by the length of the commitment to English study. Strength. Strength of power. Strength of the will. Strength of will. Strength of will. Will. Strength of power. Strength of the arm. Strength of the steel. More than 100,000 times of the experiments are conducted to check the strength of the product. A series of performances in front of the public strengthened my mentality. Repeated appearance and performance in front of the public strengthened my mentality. Stones were laid out. Stones were laid out to strengthen the base. Stones were laid out on the wetland to strengthen the base, enough to support housings. As I grew up, I strengthened against everything: criticisms, physical abusement, physical harassment, and so on. With time, we will strengthen. The more you practice, the stronger you will become. The more you practice, the more you can strengthen. The more you practice, the more you can strengthen. No matter who criticizes me, I will carry on my study, my passion, my enthusiasm. I will carry on what I'm interested in. I usually carry on doing until I'm stopped. I usually carry on doing until I get sick, disease, and so on. I usually carry on doing until symptoms appear in front of me, such as fever, headache, migraine, pain, and so on. I usually keep doing, carry on doing until a symptom appears from my body, or someone stops me. I usually carry on studying, doing, until a symptom appears from my body, or someone stops me. Do you have the courage to bungee jump from the bridge? No, I don't have the courage to jump out from the bridge. Do you have the courage to go abroad alone? Do you have the courage to go to a country where you cannot speak the native language alone? Do you have the courage to go to the country where you cannot speak the native language? Do you have the courage to go to a foreign country alone where you cannot speak the native language at all? Yes, I have the courage to go to a foreign country alone where I cannot speak the native language. It takes it takes courage to do something for the first time. So many people refrain from challenging. It takes courage. It takes courage to challenge something new for the first time. It takes courage. It takes courage to challenge something for the first time. It takes courage. It takes courage to challenge something new for the first time. Which must be discouraging people from challenging. Entering a restaurant alone took me a courage, but now I can do that because I've got used to it. I've used it. I've been used to it. Entering a restaurant alone took me a lot of courage, but once I was used to it, I can do it now normally. Turning down the offer can take courage. And turning down the offer from our boss can take courage. And trying something new for the first time will take courage. And challenging something big project or something like that will take courage. Challenging something big for the first time will take courage. But we can overcome such anxiety only by challenging and getting it over. I guess we can overcome anxiety only by challenging and stacking up experiences. It took a lot of courage to apply for the practical training for the first time because it was expensive. It took a lot of courage to apply for the scholarship. It took a lot of courage to drive to the narrow spaces. It took a lot of courage to drive to the places where I haven't been to for the first time. It took a lot of courage to drive in the middle of the mountain, taking narrow spaces a lot. Are you courageous enough to confront your boss if it is wrong? Are you courageous enough to confront your boss if it is wrong? Are you courageous enough to jump from the bridge at bungee jump? It is courageous of you to hand in the resignation paper in front of him with stable attitude. Courageous. It was courageous of you to perform playing the violin in front of a lot of people. Courageous. Courageous movement, courageous challenge, courageous rescue by the firefighters. I was praised for the courageous movement by rescuing the refugees. Courageous movement, courageous behavior, courageous movement. Everybody praised the person for his courageous movement. Courageous. I sometimes feel like going deep within a forest. Do you also sometimes feel like going deep within a forest? Do you also sometimes feel like going deep within a forest? Do you also sometimes feel like going somewhere deep within a forest? Deep within a forest. It is believed that the treasure trove is hidden deep within the forest. The treasure trove is believed to be hidden deep within the forest. Deep within the forest. Teacher should ask us to think it over deep within ourselves before make a decision about our course in life. Teachers should ask us to reflect on our future and look deep within ourselves before making our decision of the life, before the graduation. Teachers of the school should ask the student to look deep within ourselves and reflect on what we want to do in the future. Deep within, 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 deep within the forest. Deep within the soil. The root of the tree, the roots of the tree are holding on to deep within the soil. Deep within the soil. Deep within the soil. Do you want to pursue deep within your career? The treasure trove is believed to be hidden deep within the forest. It is believed that the treasure trove is hidden deep within the mountain. It is rumored that the treasure trove is hidden deep within the mountain. The treasure trove is rumored to be hidden deep within the mountain. Deep within. Deep within. Deep within. Deep within. Deep within. Deep within. It is believed that the spirits of the ancestors will come back during the autumn season in summer. Ancestor spirit. Pray at ancestor's grave to console the spirits of the ancestor. Saying something after sneezing might be ancestral inheritance. Ancestral habit. It might be ancestral habit. Ancestral business, family business, was brought to an end because of no takeover. The ancestral family business has been put an end because there was no person who took it over. More and more ancestral family business might be put an end because of no person who take it over. ancestral, 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 ancestral family business has been put an end. The ancestral family business has been put an end to because there was no one who took it over in the family. Ancestral, ancestral family business. The longest ancestral family business. Ancestral surname, ancestral family name, ancestral. More and more ancestral family business might be put an end to because of no person who will take it over. Ancestral. More and more ancestral family businesses might put an end to because there are no people who will take them over. Especially when the son or daughter of the owner of the ancestral family business have the different value they put the value on. When the son or daughter of the owner of the family business have the different interest they put value on. Ancestral, 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 ancestral inherited jewelry, ancestral land, ancestral house, ancestral method of growing of the product, merchandise, food, drink. Ancestral classified way of the production. Ancestral method of the assembly of the product. Ancestral way of the assembly. Ancestral way of assembly. Ancestral method of assembly. Ancestral method of assembly. Ancestral way of assembly. Ancestral way of assembly. Production. Research. Ancestral. What is the difference between ancestor and ancestry? Ancestry. What is the difference between ancestry and ancestor? Ancestry. ancestry, ancestry's grave, ancestry's tomb. Pay respect at the ancestor's grave, ancestry's grave, ancestry, ancestry's grave. Pay respect to the ancestry at the grave. Ancestry. How often do you pay respect to the ancestry's grave? How often do you pay respect to the ancestries at the grave, cemetery, tomb? Ancestry, ancestry, ancestry. How often do you pay show respect to the ancestries at the grave? How often do you go to the ancestry's grave and to show respect to them? Ancestry, 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 ancestry. How often do you go to the ancestry's grave to show respect? Ancestry. Do you want to leave your offsprings? Offspring. Thanks to the ancestors leaving their offsprings, we exist here now. Thanks to our ancestors leaving offsprings, we exist now. Offspring, 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 offspring. Offspring of the legendary creature. The emperor is believed to be the offspring of the legendary supreme goddess of the sun, Amaterasu. Offspring, offspring of the god. I sometimes use the primitive way of washing by filling the water in the bowl and wash clothes in it, especially when I don't want to give a damage to my precious clothes. Primitive. I remember watching a TV program where the TV entertainer visited a village where he spent some time living together with primitive. I once watched a TV in which the TV entertainer visited a village where he spent some time living with the primitive. Primitive, 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 primitive. I sometimes wash my clothes in a primitive way by filling the water in the bowl and wash in the bowl to prevent the clothes from getting damaged. So I wash my clothes softly, kindly, constantly, moderately. Primitive, 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 primitive life habit, primitive life form. Do you think their primitive life forms are created somewhere other than the Earth? Do you think primitive habitat is exists somewhere other than the Earth? Do you believe primitive life forms exist somewhere other than the Earth? Primitive, 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 primitive. I watched a TV program where the TV entertainer visited a village where he spent time together with the primitive, 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 primitives, primitive. I remember watching a TV program in which a TV director or entertainer visited a village and where he spent some time with the primitive there. Primitively constructed house. The YouTubers show primitively constructed houses. The house was built primitively. Primitively constructed house attracts some people. Are you also being attracted by the primitively constructed houses? I like the videos in which the YouTubers construct houses primitively, which is very attractive for me. Primitively. Do you also sometimes wash your clothes primitively? Do you also wash your clothes primitively? Primitively. Did you also sometimes long for the life of a nomadic tribe, because you don't have to study? No, actually you have to study how to live and so on. Study it forever. Have you ever longed for the life of a nomadic tribe? A nomadic tribe. Nomadic style of living is gaining popularity. Nomadic style of living is getting popularity now. They are moving and staying in a guest house or working sharing space, which might be attractive to some people. A nomadic tribe. Primitive tribe might exist in the middle of the mountain. Some unidentified tribes might exist somewhere in the world, on the earth. Some unidentified tribes might exist in the mountain, in the world. Some unidentified tribes might exist in the mountain. Tribe. Some unidentified tribes might exist somewhere on the earth. Have you ever longed for the life of a nomadic tribe? A nomadic tribe. A nomadic tribe. A nomadic tribe. Nomadic tribe. Nomadic. A nomadic tribe. A nomadic tribe. A nomadic tribe. A nomadic tribe. The TV entertainer followed the tribal rule in the village. Tribal unique ritual. Tribal unique ritual. I watched a tribal unique festival ritual on TV. Tribal. A tribal musical instrument. Tribal ritual. The TV director joined the tribal ritual in the village. I watched a tribal ritual, people gathering around the fire at night and singing something. I watched the tribal ritual in which people gathered around the fire and sang something, maybe chanted something. Tribal, tribal ritual, tribal coming of the age day, tribal ritual, tribal costume, tribal term, tribal costume, tribal rule, tribal policy, tribal rule, tribal, 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 tribal. I have sacrificed much of my time and money to accomplish my goals, to make my dreams come true. We need to sacrifice one thing in order to accomplish the other. We need to sacrifice some things in order to achieve something. We cannot achieve both at the same time. I sacrificed much time and money to pass examinations. I sacrificed much time and money so as to make my dreams come true. I've been sacrificing much time and money in order to achieve my goals. Sacrifice. Sacrifice, 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 sacrifice. I've been sacrificing my precious time and money in order to achieve my goals. We need to sacrifice one thing or a couple of things in order to achieve our goals. We cannot achieve both of them at once. We need to sacrifice one thing in order to achieve the other. We cannot achieve both at once. Some people or many people might sacrifice their health to accomplish their goals, to meet their goals, to achieve their goals. But it might be bad in the long run because the health comes first. Nothing will start without health. I think many people are sacrificing their health in order to achieve something, accomplish something. Mothers tend to sacrifice for their children. Mothers tend to sacrifice for their children. Mothers tend to cover their children. Mothers tend to sacrifice for their children. The CEO of the company sacrificed for their employees for the mistake, failure, fault. The CEO of the company sacrificed for the employee who was suspected of wrongdoing. The CEO of the company sacrificed for the employee who was arrested for his wrongdoing, violating the law. The CEO of the company did not sacrifice for the employee who commit the crime. All of the members of the project team sacrificed for one of the members who was involved in the wrongdoing, abuse. All of the members of the project sacrificed for one of the members who was involved in the wrongdoing, corruption. Mothers tend to sacrifice for their children, to cover them, to help them, to protect them. The super protectors sacrificed for the protection of the foreign dignitaries. I achieved my goals at the sacrifice of much time and money. I achieved my goals at the sacrifice of my much time and money. At the cost of much time and money. At the sacrifice of much time and money. I accomplished some of my goals at the sacrifice of much time and money. I accomplished some of my goals at the sacrifice of much time and money. I accomplished some of my goals at the sacrifice of much time and money. Sacrifice. At the sacrifice of. At the cost of. At the sacrifice of. At the sacrifice of. At the sacrifice of. At the sacrifice of. Sacrifice. At the sacrifice of. 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 We need to be at the sacrifice of something to achieve something. We need to be at the sacrifice of one or more things to achieve a goal. We cannot achieve both of them at once. We need to be at the sacrifice of time in order to achieve our goals. We can only achieve our goals at the sacrifice of time. We can only achieve our goals at the sacrifice of time. We cannot achieve anything without being at the sacrifice of time. We need time to accomplish something. Time is fair to everybody. At the sacrifice of, at the sacrifice of, at the sacrifice of, at the sacrifice of. Some or many people enter a company where they will be involved in what they are not interested in at the sacrifice of their dreams, because they are afraid of making a mistake or failure. Some or many people enter a company where they are involved in what they are not interested in at the sacrifice of their dreams, because they are afraid of failures. I've been achieving my goals at the sacrifice of much time and money. I cannot run a risk at the sacrifice of much money. I cannot invest such amount of money in stock at the sacrifice of my savings, which I earned with a lot of effort, hardships, predicaments, mayhem, chaos, and so on. Some or many people will do their best and try to achieve their goals at the sacrifice of their health. I used to listen to the lecture of the professor or associate professor in the front seats all the time, because there were always vacant seats in the front, because all of the students, not all, but many students preferred to sit in the latter seats because they were afraid of being asked a question. But my way of thinking was totally different. The tuition fee was expensive, and if I sat in the latter seats, it was difficult to recognize what professor wrote in the board. I felt it was waste of money. And when it comes to the concert or live, the front seats are more expensive. So in that meaning, I used to sit in the front seats in the auditorium of the university. Auditorium. 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 Some students were eating food, especially lunch, at the auditorium to escape from the congestion in the school cafe. I used to eat lunch at the school cafe in the congestion. I still remember the atmosphere that I had to choose what to buy in the food ticket machine. So I had to choose what to eat before waiting in the queue. I still remember the atmosphere that I had to choose what to buy, which food ticket to buy from the machine, from behind, because there was queue, because there was queue lining up behind me. behind the in front of the machine. All of the subjects were boring except for economy and English class. All of the subjects, lectures were boring except for economy and English class. Any effort will bear fruit someday. Someday. In a way you don't know. At some point in your life. Any effort you make will do someday in your future, in the future. Any string will do as long as it is strong. Any study will do as long as you are passionate about it. Any hotel room is any hotel room will do as long as it is a single room. Any hotel room will do as long as it is a single room. He likes any food. He says tasty to any food. He says tasty, yummy, delicious to any food. Any hotel room will do as long as it is a single room. Any effort you make will do someday at some point in your life. Any hotel room will do as long as it is a single room for me. But I'm particular about where to stay because I cannot sleep with anyone else in the same room. So dormitory room is the last thing I want to stay in. Dormitory room is the last thing that I want to stay in. Are you particular about what to eat for lunch? I used to be very particular about what to eat for lunch. I sometimes spend searching for lunch restaurant, walking around Umeda Station for about 1 hour. I found out it was waste of time, so recently I tried to find and compromise to some extent and enter a restaurant and eat quickly. My 26-year-old cousin likes climbing. He even climbs the mountain, which he needs to go with a guide, specialized guide. My 26-year-old cousin likes climbing the mountains. He even climbs the dangerous mountain, which he needs to climb with a specialized guide. My 26-year-old cousin likes climbing. He even climbs the dangerous mountain, which he needs to go with a specialized guide. Specialized guide. Have you ever seen the five-story pagoda? Five-storied pagoda. How many stories are in the building? How many stories are there in the building? Guessing from the height, maybe there are at least 50 floors. 50 stories. I haven't seen the five-story pagoda reflected on the lake, but someday I want to see. I was asked to gather the document to show where he was born, used to live, and so on from each city hall. Now I am gathering the document to inherit the asset from the person. Who is going to inherit the cards after he has died? Deciding who will be who inherit the assets of someone might be better. Have you decided who will inherit your asset after your death? How dare you could invest in such real estate? I cannot afford to invest my money in real estate. I cannot afford investing my money in real estate. My friend from United States told me that the food she ate at the restaurant near the lake was very good. My friend from the United States told me that the food she ate by the lake Ashinoko was very good. I cannot look back on my days without getting depressed. Can it be said to you? I cannot recall my adolescence without getting depressed. I cannot look back on my adolescence without getting depressed. So much for talking about the past. Now, let's go to the Universal Studios Japan. So much for talking about our hobbies. Let's go to the Tokyo Disneyland. So much for singing at the karaoke, otherwise we might meet the last train. So much for having a party here, otherwise we could miss the last train, which will depart at Umeda Station at about 0:30. So much for having a party. Let's go to the train station. Otherwise, or else, we might the last train. We might miss the last train. Hmm. So much for having a party. So much for talking about the subject which are not related to the work. It usually takes a lot of time to get down to my duty after having lunch. It takes 30 or at the worst 1 hour to get down to the duty after lunch. Getting down to the duty after lunch can be very difficult because eating lunch prevents me from concentrating on duty. Eating lunch making me lose concentration, motivation, and so on. Do you also take time to get down to the duty after eating lunch? Everybody will resent the rude attitude of the staff. If only the staff had not recommended the product aggressively, I would have bought it and I wouldn't have resented it. I resented the attitude of yours, not the result of the mistake. I resented of your attitude, not the result of the examination and performance. And everybody will resent the bad attitude, rude attitude, crude attitude, coarse attitude, terrible attitude, horrible attitude, awful attitude. I will never sign the contract recommended by the aggressive salesman. I will definitely never apply for the contract or service recommended by a salesman visiting my house. It is too obsolete way of selling. I will never sign a contract of a service recommended by a salesman visiting houses on food. It is very skeptical, doubtful. The fear of being infected with the virus was one of the factors discouraging people from traveling during the pandemic. The fear of whether or not they might be infected with the virus was one of the elements discouraging travelers from traveling, discouraging people from traveling. Eating out of lunch will discourage you from concentrating on the duty. So I try not to eat much. I try to finish the lunch with up to 70 or 80% of food. Because eating a lot of lunch will affect the performance of the rest of the day. I try not to eat a lot of lunch because eating a lot of lunch will discourage me from concentrating on the duty. Eating a lot of lunch will discourage me from concentrating on focusing on the duty. Eating a lot, eating a lot of lunch affect the performance of the rest of the day. Eating a lot of lunch will affect the performance of the rest of the day. The performance of the rest of the day. The performance of the rest of the day. The rest of the day. Half of the students sleeping during the class after lunch discouraged the teacher from having the class passionately, enthusiastically. The scary news of the incidents discouraged me from going the country. The plateau of the salary with no prospect of the increase discouraged the employees from doing their best. Eating a lot of lunch discouraged me from focusing on the duty. I have the experience that eating a lot of lunch discouraged me from focusing on the duty. I have the experience that eating a lot of lunch discouraged me from focusing on the duty. I have the experience that eating a lot of lunch discouraged me from studying, working, and so on. I have the experience that eating a lot of lunch discouraged me from focusing on the duty. I have the experience that eating a lot of lunch discouraged me from focusing on the duty. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.